Hello. Hi, high performers. We are here talking to my dear friend, Sanders. How do you I know you as Sandra D. So I don't want to mispronounce your last name.
It's Strite.
Strite.
Yeah.
Good, because I was gonna say straight. And you guys voted in the group and you voted for tapping on money scarcity, money mindset. So that's what we're gonna do. So Sandra is a certified clinical EFT practitioner. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, if you guys aren't familiar with it. And maybe we could start there. Like, what is it for those of us who aren't familiar with it?
Cool. Yeah. I like to break it down, and I think I have a really good way of breaking this down in my PDF, where it's a mixture of exposure therapy. So we're actually using the setup frame to expose ourselves to the area where we're conflicted, and then cognitive behavior, so CBT, just trying to allow it to come up and accept it. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to do anything. We're just trying to allow it the space to come up through the body. And that's where the tapping comes in, which is somatic. So we're actually stimulating the meridians, and each meridian is connected to an organ. So we don't necessarily know where the trauma or whatever is the limiting belief, where it comes from. We don't necessarily know where it's living in the body. So by tapping on all those points, it naturally kind of processes and comes up, and we allow that space for it to process itself.
So just to clarify, is there a place in our bodies where limiting beliefs live?
So it's different for everyone. For myself, I've found that it lives in a lot of parts of my body, and it's just stored within energy. So what's really cool in EFT, and I love experiencing this with a client. I just experienced this morning where they're like, "Oh, this is weird. I feel something in my back when you say that to me." And all I'm doing is echoing what they're saying to me. So I'm literally being a mirror for them. And they're like, "I feel it in my back." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so like we tap on the fact that they're feeling it in their back. And what will a lot of the times happen is they'll be like, "Well, now it's in my throat." And they're just noticing that. And it's super cool because what's happening is energy is just trying to come out. The energy is stored with the belief, is just trying to have space to show and express itself.
Do you notice that? Because I notice this for sure when I'm doing therapy, is women can get very disconnected from their physical experience. So they're like, "What do you mean? Where do I feel it? I don't feel. What do you mean?" Do you get that?
Yeah,
from people.
And so, meaning like they're kind of dissociated from their body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they know. Yes.
Yeah. So like even in the brain, what's happening in the amygdala, fight, flight, or freeze, a lot of the times from my own experience, that's probably a freeze. So they're naturally going into that space of like, I'm kind of stuck. I'm in freeze mode. And that's just a natural reaction in your brain. So yeah, I do notice that. And when I tap with people or when I'm working with people and that's their experience, because I know that very well, that's me, is we just ask facts. Like, what would you do with a kid? You would just ask them, well, what are the facts? Where's the evidence? What's the evidence of what's showing up?
Absolutely. That's so cool. And I think, so, okay, so we could go off on that, but I'm going to bring it back to money.
Cool.
Why do women tend to struggle, do you think, with, you and I have talked a lot about in private conversations about, receiving and giving, and how women are really much more comfortable giving. We're socialized to be caregivers. Yeah. So for entrepreneurs, how does that all play out in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I would say that like going just back into like the masculine, feminine energies, just to touch base on that, we naturally have learned in generations that women are these givers. So it is conflicting based on your own experience to receive. And if you want, we can actually I can demonstrate a practice that would maybe kind of show your audience, if you're okay with being a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool. So if I was like, Marianne, I really love your hair today.
Thank you.
So you just took, I noticed that you said thank you, and you took a second to kind of say that.
Yeah.
What was your experience with that?
I was thinking, oh, my hair looks so bad today. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, and I learned this from Miro, somebody we both know.
Mm-hmm.
There's this practice of just like noticing how you take compliments and noticing that there's an energy exchange between when you take a compliment. And if you look at money, there's that same energy exchange. So when you said thank you, that's like the second layer of how you can receive a compliment. The first layer is kind of like when you're like, thank you. Like, and you kind of like swat it away.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second layer is kind of what you just demonstrated. So it's like, oh, thank you. But then there's this third layer where it's when you're actually trying to get into the receiving mode of like feeling into how it feels to receive that energy from someone when they're giving you a natural compliment. And that's thank you. I fully receive that, and breathe it in for a second. And it's the same thing with money. And as women, I just think we're so reluctant to actually like pull that in, have that power, because it's just been taught to us through society and through having a lot of male masculine energy around us.
Yes.
So you can practice that one more time.
Yeah, actually, I have gotten a lot better with it. Yes. Yeah. Because I take my own medicine.
You do.
Yeah.
I acknowledge you for that. And that's just, it's a learning lesson. Like there's times when I can take a compliment, and there's times when I do the swatting, and there's times when I am able to be like, I fully received that.
You know what I used to do too, and I have this pull to do this sometimes, is I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. We have a couple people on here. I can't actually tell who you are because you haven't given StreamYard permission to your profile. But it says, hello, beautiful ladies, energy and money. Well, this is so interesting. And hello with a heart. Hello. Oh, there we are. I think I can see on my phone now. So if somebody says to me like, oh man, I love your outfit, or I love your top, you know what I'll do? I'll go, oh, thanks. I got it at TJ Maxx for like $250.
Yeah.
Like,
why does
that even matter? They don't want to know how much I got it for. So weird. Right?
It's just, to me, I mean, I perceive money as energy. So hopefully a lot of people resonate with that. It's just a piece of paper with energy. And once I was able to like see it as that, the giving and receiving of it just became kind of like this curiosity, and like I could kind of work with the energy and understand and just be curious about where I'm pushing it away and where I'm able to receive it, just like a compliment.
So what from our past there's so many nuances to money mindset, right? We can't possibly go over all of them. No. Today, it's such a deep issue for men and women, but those, for women in particular. What do you think is, for those of us who have to we get on sales calls, we are providing a service, we have to sell that service. And most women are not comfortable with sales. So what do you think? Is it all about the being uncomfortable with receiving, or like, what do you think it's about?
It can be partly that. It can be partly being seen and having to step into power. It can be a lot of things, and that's just to touch base on like the subconscious. And if you don't mind, I can go into like a quick, like what's happening from the brain perspective and why I love EFT. Clinical EFT, let me be specific. It is very, very different than what you experience on YouTube and what we will even experience in here, because I can't do clinical EFT in a group. It's not an integrity, but if you were to imagine walking into a warehouse and the warehouse being completely empty, that's you, baby. That's when you come into this world. And when you start to go through life, these little, you remember when you're in kindergarten, those tables, like the cute little like pink pastel like tables, those start to pop up. And when those tables start to pop up, some of these tables are going to have 3 legs, 1 leg, 2 legs. And what's happening is that's how the brain starts to connect beliefs. So if I learned I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, those little, like what we would say are like little childhood, like that's the inner child speaking. And so what happens our whole life based on how the brain is developing is those beliefs just kind of like the legs are events that formulate that belief and now make it true. So it can be anything. And you and I are both very into trauma, and like it can be small t trauma, which is what it could be anything from falling off a bed and somebody laughed at you and now you're living your whole life as a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So it's hard to narrow that down, but like that picture for me really helps me be like, oh, okay, like there's just something there that I haven't uncovered yet.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I just want to shout out to, I got to put my glasses on. Ada, hi Gina, Carrie, Susan. Oh, it's so good to have you guys here. So I think that's really, we hear, like, I actually saw this post from another male entrepreneur who said, like, the most damaging words of 2019 are like for entrepreneurs is like trauma and something else. Like, the word trauma is being overused or whatever. And I refrain from comment. I'm working on refraining. Because the reality is, like, you cannot escape life without going through trauma. And so a trauma, what you're talking about with the little t trauma, little t's matter, especially when they add up. Big T's are like what everybody thinks about, like a Vietnam vet coming home from being in Vietnam and having PTSD. But we have all been through little t traumas. And like she's saying, like, if it could be a little thing, like you fell off a bed and somebody laughed at you and you felt shame and you internalize that shame, that can make a child feel very unsafe. So we all have trauma, and like, if you're human, you have trauma. So it's certainly something to notice and pay attention to and be aware of, especially as you're trying to do new things. And entrepreneurship is a huge endeavor, right? Yeah. You have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to actually feel like unsafe. Actually, your brain will tell you that you feel unsafe. So I think that's such a good point, and something to understand, that you don't have to be like traumatized, like big T trauma, to be affected as an adult when you go to ask for that sale or to connect with somebody or whatever, to accept a compliment. The stuff that happens and how we interpret them happens to us from the past, come up and are present all the time.
Yeah. And I have a couple examples of, like, I have worked with somebody and I have her permission to slightly share the story. And it was just like her stuff around money came up because her dad was a gambler. And so she saw that as evil, and she intook that belief as a little baby, her father, and kept that belief until she uncovered it. And then for my own experience, which I think with sexual abuse, my abuser used to give me money to keep me quiet. So I was definitely not able to receive money and perceive it as safe until I uncovered that and did a little work around it, because anytime I'd get money, I'd have this panicking feeling in my body. And when I just got curious about it and I was like, why is this here? What is this doing? Like, kind of gave the monster a voice. all it was me being like, this is not safe.
Mhm.
I did it again. Oops, I did it again, which is just my inner child telling me like what's happening in my adult life it wasn't uncovered yet. And as soon as I cleared that, I had a client the next day. So it was just like so cool to understand, like when I shift my energy, I can receiving mode and just notice it and be present with it.
Yeah. So Ada, hold on. Put my glasses.
I wish I had access. I guess I can pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, you can pull it up on your phone. Ada says all or nearly all people who grow up poor have limiting money beliefs.
Yeah. And
Ada,
I don't know if you want to address that.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask Ada, if you feel okay doing so, share maybe what one of, I'm assuming you're talking about for yourself, one limiting belief that you have is, for instance, you know, all people who have money are bad.
Yeah, that's a very common one. I try to look at some, and I was like, that came up. Or I don't deserve money. Money is the root of all evil. I'm not good with it. It's better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
I thought those would be the common ones.
Or if there are any other ones that you guys have, just drop them in the comments, but we'll proceed with maybe talking about, focusing on one of them. Will that work, Sandra?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you actually, so what I would invite people to do, I don't know how many people are actually on the live.
Looks like 5.
Cool. So I'm just going to invite them. I mean, they probably don't have a piece of paper, but if they do have a piece of paper or have access to just jotting those down. So the beliefs that I Googled, I just literally used Google and figured out which ones seemed like they would resonate.
Oh, we have Carrie's telling us one here. Thank you, Carrie. She said, money mindset is my biggest area of opportunity to grow. I love that reframe. My belief is that I have to work, and I associate it with a lack of attention due to my father working so hard. Oh, yes. Like you have to just totally work your butt off, have no other life, ignore everybody and everything else in order to have it. That's a big one. Money is very hard to get. Even if you work a lot, you won't have it. That was another one that Ada put in here.
Yeah.
So those are 2 good ones to work with.
Cool. I really, the one that I have to work hard for money, I think that's a safe one to go through.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to do a live demo now, or are you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So full disclosure, I'm always in integrity with this stuff. What I'm demonstrating is the full basic recipe of EFT, which is what you will see on YouTube, and kind of what I do and where I know that I have control and there's a safety. It's not clinical. So this is very different than what you would see in coaching and clinical.
Okay.
They both have their time and their place. That's what I like to express. And that's my own opinion, is like clinical is when I really want to go into deep trauma, or maybe I don't, and I just want to actually allow it to process a different way. Clinical, we do things with the eyes, and we associate the left and the right brain to actually find out where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. And then what naturally happens is a cognitive shift in the brain. So
I just want to say, just do you mind, just real quick. Sandra and I both work with trauma clients. I work with trauma clients in my therapy practice. I'm certified in EMDR, which uses bilateral stimulation to reprocess memories. But we do want to make a disclaimer here that this is not a clinical experience.
Nope.
We're giving you a little taste of what EFT is and what it's important to disclose that, if you have anything come up, please, stop. If anything weird comes up for you, if you find you're getting scared or you have like a really uncomfortable feeling in your body, please stop.
Yeah.
And trauma is nothing to mess with. So we're just giving you a little bit of a taste.
Yep.
And if you want, we'll give everybody, your name. You're also giving away a free PDF about tapping. So I think it's important that we say this is not therapy. This is, and I appreciate you being careful with that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And if anyone, I scheduled an hour after this, just in case somebody needed to touch base with me. And we're trained in a technique called sneaking away. So in case somebody does need anything, I did create some time after this before I hop on something else.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Let me just read a couple of these comments. Susan says, my father used to hide money and I don't know how to get over that.
Yeah.
Carrie says, thank you. I understand. Thank you for your professionalism.
Yeah. So what I'm going to invite everyone to do is just kind of like find a comfortable position, get into a good little space. I just got a massage, so I feel great.
Oh, I'm standing up.
So I'm going to go over I think this is what works best. I've only done this one other time, live demonstration. So I think what will work best is to go through the points, kind of check in, and then we'll just do like a 5-minute, like live demonstration, if that's cool.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. So the side of, I'll try and be proactive about answering questions about why we do certain things.
Okay.
But if any pop up, even with you, please just ask. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. So the side of the hand is the first point that we tap on. You're going to use kind of like your full other hand. I'm right-handed, so I tend to use my right hand to tap. If you're left-handed, it does not matter, just whichever you're comfortable with. So we're going to just tap on the side of the hand. This is called the karate point because I think it had something to do with like karate chopping. And in this space, when we're tapping on the side of the hand, what would typically happen is if you're tapping by yourself or you're tapping in a session, you would be setting up the intention of the process within this. And you would do it 3 times. And in my PDF, I explained that.
Okay.
So then the next point, I like to just use 2 fingers. And you're going to go to kind of where the bridge of your eyebrow is. And it's just so soothing to tap on.
It is. Oh my God.
So silly.
It is.
But it's soothing.
Yeah.
And then the next point is going to be the side of your eye, right where the bone is.
Does it matter how many times you tap?
We usually tap about 5 to 7, but I'm just like allowing to see. I don't know if there's a lag. And then you're going to go under the eye on the bone. This is one of my favorites. I forget what organ it's related to, but it always soothes me.
Yeah, it's really pleasant. It's so soft right here.
Yeah. And so I like to tell people it's kind of like patting a baby's bottom. Like you're not tapping so hard. Yeah. And you're also not going so light that you don't feel it. You want to like you pat a baby's bottom.
Okay.
So then we have under the eye and then under your nose. This is another soothing one to me. And then on your chin where that indent is. And then this one gets a little tricky. So some people will like to go like this. Some people will want to do one. And I like to open my hand. And so it's like right under your collarbone, about a half inch off. There's kind of these like sore spots. Like if you kind of touch around, you'll notice these.
Yeah.
They're a little bit here.
Yeah.
Those are the points. So I like to open my hand and tap with my whole hand. Whatever is comfortable for you, you can go like this. You can do one. And then the next spot is under the arm where you would wear a bra. You're going to, again, kind of look for like that tender area.
Oh, yeah.
And just tap.
Why are they tender like that?
Because they're the way that the meridians are, it's correlated to a certain organ. I want to say this one's.
What is it?
I want to say it's the stomach. I might be wrong.
Wow.
I can post that though. And then we're going to go to the top of the head, which is where all the meridians meet. So you're just tapping in the middle of the head. Yeah. And that is all. Those are the points.
Okay.
Okay. I think I tried to answer any questions that they may have. I don't know if you want to check in with them and just see.
So I have a question. What if you're doing it around, like, say, a limiting belief, like money is very hard to get, even if you work a lot, you won't have it.
Yeah.
How would you tap on like a thought or a belief like that?
Okay. So in clinical tapping, what that would look like. So this is not what we're going to demonstrate, though, being very clear. What would happen typically is me as the practitioner, we would have a conversation. We'd start tapping on that belief. And what would happen is I'd probably ask some type of question like, how do you know? What's the evidence? When did that first happen? And what will normally happen, because your subconscious plays part now, is the subconscious will tell me through you, I was 5, or last week I got this bill in the mail and this X, Y, and Z. And what we want to do, and when clinical EFT works best, is when we can get to a specific event. Now, if that's challenging for people, we're also trained to kind of like create distance, make a safe space with our clients, and just slowly move into it. So it looks very different when I'm working with somebody versus like what would show up here. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if that answers your question, but we can just tap on the actual belief itself, and the body is so smart and will naturally allow what's supposed to come up to come up.
Can you say more about that? Like, can you give an example of somebody's experience?
Yeah, I can speak about my own experience. A big thing around my weight, and I think this came up last week, I started tapping on food cravings with a friend. I'm kind of within her program, helping her service her community of people who are working with food and food cravings. And I think I've spoke to you about this. My body always puts on weight when I go to get intimate with men. So as soon as I start to get into a relationship, I will notice, and you can pull up pictures of me for the last 5-6 years. Anytime I went to start a relationship, I put on about 15 pounds. What my body is doing, what my subconscious is doing for me, is putting weight on my midsection so that it's protecting me. It's adding that layer of protection. And that's just kind of like how cool the body is to just like serve me in that way. And we don't often get to see it like that, but like same with my acne. My acne will show up when I'm supposed to be seen and on camera and showing up for people, because it's trying to protect me from being seen. It's trying to, it knows that when it shows up like that, I'm more willing to take a step back.
Yeah, you might just throw in the towel.
Yeah. So it's super, those are just experiences from my like EFT work that I've done. And I feel like those resonate with some people, especially around the skin.
Weight is an interesting topic as well. I think I shared with you a past therapy client of mine she was a sexual abuse survivor, and she had lost probably about 70 pounds. That's a lot, 75 pounds. She looked really different. And she said, I don't like it. I feel so unsafe. Men are saying things to me. I don't like the attention. She was so uncomfortable. It's so much more for us than weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can show up a lot of ways. And that's why I really love just like working with this tool, and just I'm curious about all tools that are healing. And like I just think that our bodies are so powerful and so smart, and they're kind of usually one step ahead of us. So I'm trying to just like connect my mind, body, and spirit all the time, and just be like, okay, well, why is this showing up? How is this serving me in this moment? And things like that.
I think that's just such an important point, because we tend to want to say like, oh, fuck off anxiety, oh, go away. But the thing is, all of these emotions and all these feelings in our body are giving us information that's super valuable. So you're familiar with the book Body Keeps the Score.
There's another
another Body Keeps the Score?
No, there's another one that I think
Waking the Tiger?
No. It's called You Can Heal Your Life. I have it, I think.
Is it good? I haven't read that.
It's Louise Hayes. She has you can Google it. You can just Google A through Z. It's like just another side story. I had 7 canker sores in my mouth. And I looked in that book to see what canker sores might represent as like an emotional meaning. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's no way that I have this bitterness around anything in my life right now. Started tapping with my practitioner, because I see a practitioner to keep up with my work. Had this huge epiphany around being really bitter at an ex-boyfriend and blaming him for my previous relationship ending. Long story short, the next day, because I had uncovered that and realized that there was an ounce of bitterness, all 7 canker sores were coded the next day. And I actually have that session recorded.
So how did you let go of it through tapping? You released it?
Yep. Because all I did was give it the space, which is again, what tapping to me is clinical tapping, is giving it the space to just come up and a space to kind of like give it a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our bodies, like I said, they're just so smart, and they just do these things to protect us, or to, like you said, give us this, like, we can't really be in control of what's happening internally. So like when you get curious about it and when you ask those questions and when you kind of do this work, you kind of get answers, and you just have this different relationship with your body. And you're like, oh, so this headache might mean this. Yeah,
absolutely. It's beautiful. It really is, because we do tend to be so disconnected, right, from our emotions, or certain emotions we don't want to feel. There's certain emotions that are okay to feel. Feelings in our bodies, we just don't really. I think part of it is just Western medicine, right? We treat parts. We don't treat the whole person. This is no statement about that, but we're not taught to think that way. We're taught to think of like symptoms, you know, and symptoms are like totally separate from anything else. And we treat the symptoms. Like we treat a fever. We don't think about what the fever is actually. It's a fever serves you, actually.
The root of it. And like, just to go back to money mindset, I invite everyone on this to just kind of, if you haven't done the 21-day abundance meditation with Deepak, I know that's kind of circling around, start there. It helps you at least get curious about like where your money beliefs are coming from, and just give yourself permission to be curious about it. Because sometimes they're not your own beliefs. They're like passed down from generations, and they're your parents. And just like give yourself permission to be curious about where these beliefs are even coming from in the first place. And I think that 21-day meditation is a really safe space to like start.
So what if you know where they're coming from, but you still know like they're kind of holding you back or keeping you stuck? Or
yeah, I would say that's a good time to work with a practitioner, and whether it's EFT or hypnosis or something where somebody can hold space for you and have that relationship to build that safe container with you. I would go there.
Yeah, because it's not really something you can like wrap up in a discussion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to feel it and release it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm ready to tap if you guys are, though.
Let's do it. Yep.
So let's just tap on I have to work hard for money. Does anyone have questions? Do you want to check in and make sure that no one had questions, at least around the actual?
Yeah, I don't see any other comments. Does anybody have any questions before we start? I think they're probably ready.
Cool. So what I would ask everyone to do, and what's really, really awesome about tapping, is we do this thing called borrowing benefits. So since we're all kind of tapping together, our energy is working together, and we're setting a similar intention. So we are all benefiting from tapping together. And that's even people who jump on this live and tap later.
Okay. We're all connected. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so fun to like watch this in a group. So what I'm going to have everyone do is just kind of like drop into their body, and either say out loud or just in your head that I have to work hard for money.
Let's say it out loud. I have to work hard for money.
And I want you to ask yourself, how true is that to you? And give it a number 0 to 10 and write it down.
Okay.
So mine is 7. So I'm going to just put that out there.
Mine is 8.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to tap on that phrase, and everyone's setting the same intention. We're working together to just kind of be curious about that phrase and just notice it.
Okay.
Okay. So we would set it up at the side of the hand, and you're going to repeat after me.
Okay.
Okay. And they would as well.
Okay.
So even though I have this belief around money,
I have this belief around money
that I have to work hard for money.
That I have to work hard for money.
I'm just noticing it.
I'm just noticing it.
And I deeply and completely.
What?
And I deeply and completely.
And I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself. Yes.
Love and accept myself.
Even though I have this belief around money.
I have this belief around money.
I'm just noticing that belief.
Just noticing that belief.
That belief that I have to work hard for money.
That belief that I have to work hard for money.
And I deeply and completely.
And I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Even though
I
have this belief.
I have this belief.
That I have to work hard for money.
That I have to work hard for money.
I'm just noticing that.
I'm just noticing that.
Just allowing it to be there.
Just allowing it to be there.
And I deeply and completely.
And I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
And we're going to go to the eyebrow. I have to work hard for money.
I have to work hard for money.
Side of the eye. I have to work hard for money.
I have to work hard for money.
Under the eye. I have to work hard.
I have to work hard.
Big deep breath. Under the nose. I have to work hard for money.
I have to work hard for money.
On the chin. Just noticing this. You still there?
Mm-hmm.
Just noticing this?
Just noticing this.
Well, chest. Just noticing this belief.
Just noticing this belief.
Under the arm. Choosing to be curious about it.
Just going to be curious about it.
Top of the head. The fact that I have to work hard for money.
The fact that I have to work hard for money.
And then we're going to take a big deep breath. I like to have people open their hands to receive. Just kind of send a little Reiki. I'm also Reiki attuned. And just like drop back in to that belief, like, and say it. I have to work hard for money.
I have to work hard for money.
And then 0 to 10, is that, how believable is that for you right now?
I mean, it's definitely gotten lower.
Yeah.
I would say like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah. And that's one round. And that's still 10%, 20% in decrease in about 3 minutes.
Yeah. You know, my experience was I was going to all of my past experiences where it actually hasn't been that hard to make money.
That's so cool because that's really cool to hear, because I think what happens when you tap in a group is sometimes it'll bring up like the opposite to kind of just prove to you that that's like not your truth And this is what I'm just mirroring back to you.
Yeah.
So, well, you didn't have to hear, and you didn't have to hear.
Right.
But sometimes people will tap, and this is very often when you're in a session with me, and we go back to the root of it. And I mean, 0 to 7, get people to that age. You think, like, I always have people that are like, I don't remember my childhood. And I can promise you that your body will just kind of bring it up, just because that's where this belief sometimes is coming from.
Yeah.
They always, but.
And I just had this memory come up. Is that common? Like after tapping, like a money memory? Oh, old. I was like probably 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah.
I stole a pack of chiclets from the store, and my mom caught me, and I had to take them back. But I didn't want to ask her to buy them for me because she was always complaining about money and never having enough money. So I didn't. That's weird that just came up. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Well, I want to honor you for sharing that with your group and being so vulnerable as a leader, because that is vulnerable, and that's what creates trust and stuff in a community. So, like, thank you for even just acknowledging that.
I received that.
Yeah. So like that is sometimes what will happen. And now you can just come from a space of like, I'm curious. Why is that coming up? Why is it showing up?
Yeah.
You don't have to judge it. You can just be with a space of like, I'm curious. I am
interesting.
Speaking to you and your group, like who's dropped. Like I would actually like to see any numbers, and that's just one round. Typically, we'll go for an entire hour diving into that.
So did whoever did this, did anybody's numbers drop? Share if you're feeling okay with sharing. We'd love to hear from you what your experience was.
Or just noticing, like, how do you feel right now? Like, I can say that I feel a lot more relaxed than when I showed up on the call.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love this one.
Yeah, I can drop in your group. I think it would be helpful just so that I love the science of this. That's what I'm like teaching in my course, is like the science of the brain, the science of this. I've studied neuroscience for about 3 years before I started my healing journey under a neuroscientist. So I like love learning about the brain and knowing how it just naturally processes stuff. But I think that could really just knowing where the meridians are and which organs they're tied to. We just tap on all of them. That's something I didn't answer, but proactively answer. We tap on all of them because it doesn't take long. So why would we not?
Right.
If we don't know where exactly it is, I would rather tap on all of them and have a better chance at like letting the body process it than just tap on one and hope that it does.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And that the meridians are, that's ancient Eastern medicine, Chinese, right? Yeah. Chinese medicine. Yeah.
So what people always express about tapping is it's acupuncture without the needles.
Yes. I've done acupuncture before for anxiety, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm curious how people are feeling, just like, even if they didn't have a drop level, just kind of, so what's happening in the body is it's based on the brain. We're working with the limbic system, which is your emotional body, and it's dropping the cortisol levels. So if you do an hour of this, they drop by like 24%.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah.
Cortisol is bad, bad, bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
So if you just to like offer this up to your group too, like if you're just finding yourself a little stressed as an entrepreneur and you do this thing we call open tapping, which you're just doing this, you're literally not even setting a script for yourself and you're just tapping on these points, you'll feel better because you're dropping the cortisol. And what I love about it too is like, how many times in your life have you gone like this?
Yeah.
Or like this to think about something? You naturally put your hands on these points. That's why it works.
Oh, wow. To feel better. It's like self-soothing. I always do this.
Yeah.
Or this.
Yep.
Wow. That's so interesting. So interesting. So what you're going to share with them is the chart, right? I've seen it. It's really nice chart of showing us where to tap
Yeah. Yeah. I have a PDF that I have my own pictures and like just kind of have a basic script in there. But I also feel like because we touch base on it, it would be cool to share just like which point is related to which meridian or which organ. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. So you're saying like even like studies show that even just the tapping, not even around a thought, decreases your cortisol levels.
It will decrease the stress. Yeah, because we do this thing also. There's so many in clinical tapping, they train us on so many techniques. And one of them is called tap and rant. So it's literally talking about the problem and just tapping. So somebody asked me this when I did an interview a week ago. How would you use this in a relationship if you have a partner and you guys are kind of fighting, conflicting? How could you maybe use this? And I was like, that's a great question. You could actually sit next to your partner and tap while you talk to them about the things that they piss you off about, and it will calm you down just by tapping and talking about it.
Wow. Do you have to do it in that order?
So a lot of people actually start here.
Okay.
I really love to end there. I don't know what it is, because this is like the powerful one. This is where all the meridians meet. And like, if you just do this, it's so soothing. So I like to end there. Some people start there. I've seen it both ways. You could start technically wherever you want, but the setup statement is always here. And then you can choose here, you could choose here, but you want to run through every point that we just did. Yeah.
So in other words, at home, they could find a say, for instance, just drop my stuff, money mindset belief or a blocking belief, and set that up and say that out loud and go through that kind of script, or you kind of talk me through that.
Yeah. So, and my PDF kind of explains that. So you're like,
okay,
insert a belief during this point, and then just like set an intention. So say I'm feeling anxious. So I'd be like, even though I'm feeling anxious, and if you can't say I deeply and completely accept myself or love myself, you can say, I'm just noticing this. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I'm just noticing this. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I'm just noticing this. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I'm feeling this way. I'm noticing it. I'm feeling this way. I'm anxious. And you're just setting an intention here, using a reminder phrase on the points. And that's what you'll see on YouTube. So like there are plenty of free YouTube videos that you can tap along with, and you're going to borrow the benefits. And that's what you'll find on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I've seen some things on YouTube about doing self-administered EMDR, and I would not recommend that.
No. So this kind of tapping, you're kind of being broad, and sometimes you'll maybe tap in some positive stuff. During clinical training, we do not give advice. We do not tap on positive stuff. We just allow the natural process of your body showing up for you. And so it's very different. But what you see on YouTube, you'll get a lot of people tapping on positive stuff. And there's free videos everywhere for this. If you're just looking for like a quick, I'm feeling really stressed about this, let me YouTube something to support me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's how I started.
Really? You found it on YouTube?
Brad Yates. He has like 1 million videos.
When my first clinical job, it was about, 20 years ago. The social worker that I followed, my predecessor, I guess, she did tapping. So I'd hear from these, it was in a outpatient hospital setting, and everybody was telling me like how helpful it was for them. And I didn't even know what it was. I mean, this was a long time ago. But everybody was telling me how helpful it was. Cynthia taught them to they doing that tapping thing. And everybody said it really calmed them down.
It looks so silly. I remember first learning it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like,
well, it's a great way to take care of yourself. And that's so important no matter what your job is.
Yeah.
no matter what you do for a living.
And it doesn't take away from like going to therapy, doing all these other eating right, going to the gym. It just adds to it. It's just another tool. And that's why I love it. And it's technically kind of free, right? Like your body, your hands, like,
Yeah.
It's not free when you need to work through something and get a practitioner. But like, if you just need something that's quick, you're on an airplane, you're in the car, and you're just like, oh, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed at a meeting, getting on a live, right before live, you can do this.
Yeah. Right before a sales call.
Yep. Right before a sales call, I would highly recommend, or breath work, something.
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. So does anybody have any questions?
I know I wanted to try and pop on, but it like goes off on my phone, all the sound. And I'm like, oh no.
I see. Thanks, ladies. I don't see any questions. There are a few people on here. But I don't see any questions. So what we're going to do is drop the link to your PDF, right? We'll do that after. And you guys can check that out. So you can do some of these things at home. Like, I think that's a great idea before a live, before, a sales call, or even if during the day you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or stressed, it's just something to add to your self-care repertoire, really.
Yeah. And if they need any support and have any questions after this live, they are more than welcome to message me and get in contact with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll leave a link for that. And you do work with people one-on-one virtually, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Sure do.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. I really received the presence of witnessing you get to do this and share your vulnerability. That means a lot to me.
Thank you for doing that for me. And I'll be talking to you I know we've talked about doing some work together. So I'm going to be talking to you about that too.
Yay.
I love you. I hope you have a great night.
Yeah, love you too. Thank you to your group as well.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Talk to you soon. Sandra, you can stay on, though. Okay, bye.